The morning air in the Rocky Mountains was crisp and quiet when Lydia Harrington stood in the main hall of her retreat, arranging fresh wildflowers in a glass vase. Purple and white petals caught the sunlight coming through the tall windows, filling the room with a gentle warmth. This place was her peace. It was her refuge after a lifetime of being overlooked and taken for granted. At 61, Lydia had finally learned how to be still. Then she heard it, the low growl of an engine climbing the narrow mountain road. It cut through the silence like a warning. No one was scheduled to arrive that day. The women who lived at the retreat were all in town for their weekly counseling sessions. Lydia was alone, enjoying the rare calm that came between healing stories and shared meals. The engine grew louder. Through the window, she saw a sleek black SUV pulling up near the front steps. Something in her chest tightened. She knew that car. She had not seen it in years, but her body remembered it. The doors slammed. Footsteps crossed the gravel. One slow and heavy, and sharp and impatient. Lydia did not need to look to know who it was. Logan Harrington, her son, and Vanessa, his wife. The doorbell rang. A soft chime that usually welcomed frightened women looking for safety now announced the two people who had caused her the deepest wounds. Lydia took a breath and opened the door. Logan stood there, tall and polished, with the same cold eyes he had inherited from his father. Vanessa stood beside him, flawless and tense, her designer bag hanging from her arm like a badge of status. "We heard you moved to a luxury place in the mountains," Vanessa said with a thin smile. "We came to live with you and make peace." Before Lydia could respond, Vanessa pushed past her and stepped inside. Logan rolled two large suitcases over the threshold without asking. "Do not just stand there, Mother," he said. "Help us with the bags." Lydia did not argue. She stepped aside. She wanted them to walk all the way in. She wanted them to see everything. They moved deeper into the building, their footsteps echoing across the wooden floor. The air smelled of flowers and fresh bread, not money or marble. When they reached the main hall, they stopped. Both of them froze. Their eyes locked onto the large wall at the far end of the room, covered with dozens of framed photographs. Not family portraits, not childhood memories, something else entirely. Lydia stood behind them, watching their faces change, and that was when she knew everything was about to come out. Logan and Vanessa stared at the wall as if it did not make sense to them. Their reflections appeared faintly in the glass of the picture frames. Not a single image showed Logan as a child, not a single holiday table or birthday cake or smiling family portrait existed on that wall. Every face belonged to someone else. Lydia walked past them and stood in front of the photographs. "This place is not what you think it is," she said calmly. Vanessa folded her arms. "Then what is it supposed to be, Lydia? A hobby? A phase?" Lydia turned toward them slowly. "My whole life, people thought I existed to be useful," she said. "I raised a son alone after a hard marriage. I worked double shifts at the hospital. I paid bills and fixed problems, and smiled when no one asked how I was doing." Logan shifted uncomfortably, but said nothing. "When you stopped," Colin continued, "when every conversation became about what you needed from me, I finally understood something. I had spent decades being strong for people who did not value me, so I left. I did not come to the mountains for luxury. I came here to breathe." She gestured toward the wide open windows, where pine trees and distant peaks filled the horizon. "This is not a resort. It is a recovery retreat, a place where women who have been hurt and discarded can rebuild their lives." Vanessa laughed sharply. "You turned your life into a charity project." Lydia did not flinch. "I turned my life into something that matters." She looked back at the wall. "Those women you see there are not guests. They live here. They cooked together, they worked together, they healed together. They came here with nothing but fear, and they learned how to stand again." Logan frowned. "You never told me about this." "You never asked," Lydia replied quietly. For years, you visited when it was convenient. You called when you needed something. You never once asked what I was building." Vanessa rolled her eyes. "We thought you were finally enjoying yourself." "I am," Lydia said, "just not in the way you imagined." She took a slow breath. "Everything you see in this building was paid for with my own savings. No investors, no sponsors, just years of work and sacrifice." Logan stared at her. "Then why did Mrs. Chen say you were rich?" Lydia almost smiled. "Because people confuse peace with money." She turned back to the wall. "And you have not even seen the most important part yet." Lydia stepped closer to the wall and gently touched one of the frames. "This is Luna," she said. "She arrived here 2 years ago with a baby and no place to sleep. Her family turned her away when she refused to go back to the man who hurt her." She moved her hand to the next photo. "This is Margaret. Her own children took her retirement savings and left her in a nursing home she could not afford. She came here believing her life was over." Then another. "And this is Helen. She spent 20 years as a school principal before her husband convinced her she was worthless. When she left him, she did not even know how to use her own bank account." Logan shook his head. "What does any of this have to do with us?" "Everything," Lydia said. "These women did not come here because they were weak. They came here because they were brave enough to start again." Vanessa scoffed. "They look like a collection of problems." Lydia turned sharply. "They are my daughters." The words settled into the room like a weight. Logan stared at her. "What do you mean, daughters? You're not their mother?" Lydia looked at him. "I may not have given birth to them, but I chose them, and they chose me." She gestured toward the photos. "They call me when they are afraid. They come to me when they have good news. They ask my advice when they feel lost." She lowered her voice. "When was the last time you did that, Logan?" He looked away. Vanessa crossed her arms. "This is ridiculous. You are replacing your own family with strangers." Lydia shook her head slowly. "I am not replacing anyone. I am building something real." She pointed at a photo of Luna smiling while holding her baby. "That child has never gone to bed hungry since she came here. That woman now works at the local clinic and saves money for her own place." She pointed to Margaret in the garden. "That woman grows food that feeds this entire community." Then to Helen, teaching a group of younger women. "That woman teaches others how to survive." They are not broken. They are rebuilding. Vanessa shook her head. "You sound like you are running some kind of emotional cult." "No," Lydia replied evenly. "I am running a family that actually shows up for each other." She stepped closer to Logan. "You are my son, but you walked away from me long before I walked away from you, and that is why this wall does not include you." Vanessa let out a short, bitter laugh. "So this is what you spent your money on," she said. "A group of broken women who need you to feel important." Lydia did not raise her voice. "They do not need me to feel important," she said. "They need me because they are healing, and I need them because they remind me what love actually looks like." Logan stepped forward. "You could have spent that money on something better, on something that helped your real family." Lydia met his eyes. "These women are my real family." Vanessa waved toward the wall. "They are damaged, abandoned, unstable. What kind of future do you think this creates?" Lydia took a breath. "Let me tell you something. Luna was 19 when she came here, pregnant, homeless, terrified. She now works full-time and studies at night. Margaret came here ready to give up on life. She now manages our finances and helps other women learn how to protect themselves. Ellen couldn't even write a check when she arrived. Now she runs our training programs. That is the future we create here." Logan looked uncomfortable. "But that does not make them your daughters. It makes them family," Lydia said. Vanessa narrowed her eyes. "So you would choose them over us?" Lydia nodded. "Every day." Logan raised his voice. "You are letting these people use you." Lydia stepped closer. "They do not use me. They contribute. They work. They give back. They respect me." She paused. "You